Han Solo versus Anakin Skywalker.
This is where the fun begins.
Who really has the skills to be called the greatest pilot in the galaxy? Now this is a matchup. Cue Sepulba's engines. Star Wars has given us no shortage of high-speed action sequences. From dazzling dogfights to the pod racing circuit, these pilots have shown off their skills in a wide array of situations. Some with higher stakes than others, but not lacking any danger. To more fairly assess their skills, we're going to take a look at their piloting records. How long have they been flying? Have they had any training? Remarkable battles? Unique techniques? Time to put these contenders head-to-head and see who is truly the best pilot of the Star Wars saga.
Han Solo. I'm Captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Our suave smuggler gets to bat first in this debate. Han Solo was the first to show off his skills in the original trilogy, giving our heroes a lift to Alderaan and dodging the Empire on the way. His destiny eventually entwined itself with the Rebellion, continuing to aid them in battles, proving that he wasn't just in it for the credits. But how did he build up those skills? Well, Han originally was a cadet in the Imperial Navy, training to become a TIE pilot. Han rose to the top of the leaderboards in his training, his one weakness being his drive to rescue any of his comrades in need. He eventually was expelled due to repeated insubordination. The only reason he lasted so long was on his skills alone. His removal from the Imperial Navy certainly didn't end his pilot career in any way, with his extensive career as a smuggler only further developing his skills. The famous Kessel Run, completed in about 12 parsecs, remained a bragging point in his career.
It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Solo initially claims it to be under 12 parsecs, but Solo: A Star Wars Story stamps the total in at just over 12 parsecs. Though he can't take all the credit for it, as the navigation system of the Falcon did all the calculations. But when pursued by a space creature, TIE fighters, and a Star Destroyer through an already treacherous route, some kudos has to go to the future captain of the Falcon. After that, Han would become the #1 smuggler under Jabba the Hutt, no small feat based on his extensive operations. Get it? It's a fat joke too. Han, with Chewie by his side, avoided Imperial forces while moving various types of contraband. He eventually had a falling out with Jabba due to dropping a shipment to avoid being caught. With that bridge burned, he then needed to find new work elsewhere. Enter Obi-Wan Kenobi. One thing leads to another, and suddenly you're part of a war. Welcome to the Rebellion, Han Solo. Now allied with the Resistance, the former Imperial cadet engaged in a number of battles against the Empire's forces, showing up often in the nick of time to catch the enemy off guard. Some of his contributions strayed from piloting, but his efforts were key in the Empire's defeat. He did manage a fair number of impressive escapes from the Imperial forces, but not quite as many firefights for Captain Solo. The war wasn't the end of Han's career in any way. During the novel Bloodlines, we get a peek into the life of Leia Organa as a senator after the Empire's defeat. Han, being her husband, is present, well, kind of. Though his wife is a politician, his career path stayed more on track with what he knew, running a shipping company and eventually becoming a star racing pilot. Though he no longer had his hand on the Falcon at this point, he was still one of the fastest pilots around, proving his talents were more than just his modified ship. Oh, and just to be clear, please don't rip me apart in the comment section for saying Falcon. Listen, I know the word is Falcon. Harrison Ford says Falcon. As far as I'm concerned, that is the name of the ship. It is the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, moving on.
Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hi.
The young chosen one has had a long history of piloting a variety of different vehicles. With the knowledge and know-how to repair droids and construct his own pod racer before the age of 10, it's easy to see that this kid had some serious smarts. Anakin was naturally gifted from the start, able to pilot a pod racer, an unusual feat for a human. With his phenomenal reflexes, he could anticipate and react to the environment around him with a surprising amount of ease. These talents granted him his victory for the race and the skills to participate in the Battle of Naboo. These people had enough confidence in this little kid to put him behind the controls of an actual starfighter, a real space dogfight.
Now this is pod racing.
Sorry to burst your bubble, kid, but that is definitely not pod racing. Despite the fully new territory, the new vehicle, and the lives at stake, little Annie managed a solid contribution to this fight. And that was only the beginning. The Force has much to do with his reflexes, but that doesn't remove from the fact that Annie knew his pod racer inside and out. His Force abilities hadn't been trained at this point, though the extra midichlorians in his blood may have something to do with that. Getting into his years under the Jedi Council, Anakin had many opportunities to show off his piloting prowess. The Clone Wars certainly ensured he did not run out of practice. The Battle of Munilist was a huge showcase of the young Jedi's skills. Assigned as the commander of the Space Forces, Anakin led the clones in their portion of the battle in orbit. Despite being outnumbered, Anakin was able to use some quick thinking and risky tactics to help turn the tide of the battle. Ordering a friendly fire on one of their own ships, he was able to maneuver successfully around the vessel, leading the enemy ships straight into the line of fire. With missiles on his tail, Anakin was able to steer through one of the enemy hangars, effectively destroying the construct from the inside. This did not win them the battle, as Asajj Ventress would eradicate all of Anakin's squadron, leading him to give chase, moving the battle to the atmosphere and through the streets of Harnaden. Being overly familiar with a ship isn't needed for Anakin's skills to shine, though. During Season 2 of the Clone Wars series, Anakin is tasked with piloting a prototype stealth ship, specifically one that isn't meant for combat. Despite the opponent's ability to lock onto his ship with missiles and a powerful thermal shield, Anakin manages to destroy the enemy flagship, ironically called the Invincible, with its own missiles. This move is daring and risky, requiring precise timing and a lot of bravery just to even attempt. Anakin is never one to back down from a fight, and his track record helps that claim immensely. Turning to the dark side certainly doesn't seem to detract from any previous piloting skills, and Anakin has never been one to shy away from the front lines. As Darth Vader, we have seen him engage in battles against the rebels on multiple occasions throughout the canon, joining the fight in his own TIE fighter. Vader lives up to his fearsome reputation in the space battles, picking off countless rebel ships. His removal from the Battle of Yavin was due to one of his own pilots panicking and running both of them off course. Darth Vader was a true terror during the Empire's reign, being a dangerous foe both on the ground and in the air. And now that we've had a look at each of our contenders' careers, let's break it down. Anakin was undoubtedly flying at a much younger age than Han was. Not only was this kid piloting, but he was also piloting well. Little Annie's pod racing gives him a literal head start on the smuggler. When you break down their longevity, Han was piloting for longer than Anakin was, as Darth bit the dust at a younger age than his son-in-law. Han was around ships in his childhood, his dad having a job building in the shipyard, but there are no records of him taking any of these for a spin before he hit double digits. Both of them have the technical knowledge to go along with their piloting, not a necessary skill, but it does help to know the parts involved. Overall, the level of skill that Anakin showed at that young age gives him a bit of an edge, since he clearly learned his way around a vehicle at a much earlier point in his life than Solo. So, point to Anakin there. As for formal training, Solo did attend the Imperial Navy as a cadet, training to be a full-fledged pilot in the Empire's army. Han excelled in his training as well, making high scores in the leaderboards for his piloting prowess. Anakin, as far as we know, never had any formal training to speak of for piloting. But to say that he didn't know his way around a ship is pure blasphemy. Additionally, as a high-ranking member of the Imperial forces, we can be sure he's at least heard of what they teach their cadets. He may have even given a bit of input on what their curriculum entailed. Vader also shows that he is one of, if not the most talented in the Imperial Navy, outflying his troops by far. No matter what they learn, they can't match Vader's natural skill. Solo could be said to have better training, but it doesn't look like Anakin needed it. So, we can call this one a draw. Now, even though we're talking about piloting here, the Force still factors in. The abilities of the extremely Force-sensitive Anakin are a huge advantage in his flying skills, being one of the reasons his reflexes are so quick. Having one of the strongest Force connections in the Star Wars universe, it's something that does play a role in most of Anakin's life. He has used the Force subconsciously before he even knew what it was. There has been some debate over whether Han has any Force connection or not, but regardless if this is true or false, Han hasn't shown any extra prowess or supernatural sense with his flying. He's just a good pilot. Now, one of the trickiest parts is not being able to fly these two head-to-head in order to measure their skills. This was remedied in the Star Wars issues 51 and 52, and they gave us an opportunity to see these two pilots directly opposing one another. 51 ends with Vader having damaged the Falcon after Han attempts to flee, lining up his TIE fighter to shoot down the smuggler's ship. Han got a little too cocky in this moment, but in 52 he's able to pull out all the stops to escape Vader's clutches. Han works recklessly and on the fly, but with a little planning and a good amount of luck, he manages to escape the Sith Lord. Han admits that there was no way he would be able to shoot down Vader. Escaping to fly another day was his best bet. Now, all that said and done, who wins? Well, that depends on your definition of a pilot in this case. When it comes to speed and maneuvering, it can be said that Solo certainly has the upper hand. But if this is a deathmatch in the sky, Anakin has the advantage, being very adept at knocking other fighters out of space and staying out of the line of fire. So, here we have a little column A, a little column B. The Star Wars universe is ever expanding, so in time, we may get a better answer. For now, it's really up to you to decide. With all of the upcoming adventures from a galaxy far, far away, who knows if an even more talented pilot will arise, or maybe further adventures of the ones we know. I think Vader is going to show us some more of his aerial skills in the upcoming Obi-Wan series. Any other pilots that could contend with these fearsome flyers? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, feel free to give us a like and blast the subscribe button for more Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.